Hello, everybody, and welcome into another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Alien Romulus, coming to us from one Fede Alvarez of Evil Dead remake fame. We got some real movies on our hands, ladies and gents. I'm pretty excited. Joining me tonight, first up, from the cornfields of Indiana, please welcome Casey to the show.
Hello.
Next up, from his mountain chalet, please welcome John Schnars to the show.
Hey-o!
Where he will retreat to when society collapses.
It's not going to be super pleasant here or anywhere if society collapses.
And last up tonight, another place I'm guessing not going to be super pleasant when society collapses. From Oakland, California, please welcome Rachel to the show.
Yes, ready to be very cool, very normal about this movie, and not a weird fan at all.
Same, I'm with you. I'll be weird with you tonight. So.
Okay.
Jokes on all you guys, though. We're not here to talk about Romulus. We're here to talk about the Eastern European guy that I follow on YouTube who makes Prometheus lore investigation videos still in 2024. He is my best friend. I love him. And frankly, he's the only thing keeping me going right now. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Oh,
Fair.
That is dystopian.
Just one little more tidbit about the engineers and I can get through my day.
You're making me sad. You're making me sad.
You're welcome, John. You
Get on our level, John.
I didn't create capitalism, John. I'm just living in it here.
Just
but
a
it
victim
is
of it.
pretty relevant to our film tonight.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah, pretty relevant.
Wheeling you tiny, brah.
John, let's get it. All right, let's take a quick break and discuss Alien Romulus.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Got the prime time. Main feature.
I just had the most wonderful image in my head when John said that. You ever seen that video from the Microsoft or from the Windows 95 launch of like Steve Ballmer and Steve Jobs, and they're all not Steve Jobs. Who's Windows guy? I can't remember his name. No, Windows guy. Whatever. Anyway,
Gates.
thank you, Bill Gates. They're all on the stage with some of these other tech. They're all like khakis up to their like man boobs.
I
and,
know
like,
what
they've got like golf shirts on, and there's music playing, and they're like trying to hype up and celebrate the crowd because Windows 95 is launching, and they're like, yeah, like it's literally the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. But I just had the vision of John doing that for Whalen Yutani to hype up their investors for the launch of the new human grist mill. 2140
In
whatever.
I was mentioning pre-show that I recently did some rewatching of some previous Alien films. In I think it's Aliens, they call it Wayu, or someone uses the phrase Wayu as like a short.
Aliens does do a lot of fun like building out of the company stuff, like Paul Reiser and like all that shit.
Wow. Yeah.
Burke is the worst.
You know what's funny in these movies when you go back to these originals, like how futuristic video calls seemed? And now it's like if somebody video calls you, not only is it not impressive, it's a fucking nightmare. Like if somebody did that like unwarningly FaceTimed you, you'd be like, you're a serial killer.
Or
She
in
had
my
that
case,
moment
you
where
get. Or in my case, you get my mom that FaceTimes you, and you're getting the shot up her nose the entire time.
Aw, that's
Well, it's like,
Or
it's
inside
like
her ear.
one of my favorite gags in Spaceballs is when he's taking a piss and they call him on the wall. He's like, I told you never to call me on this wall. Oh, God, it's a nightmare. All right, Jonathan, please bring us the word of the day.
if I had really thought about it, I probably could have come up with a good capitalism word, but instead, today's word is salvage. That is salvage, salvage. A couple of definitions I'm going to give you. Rescue a wrecked or disabled ship or its cargo from loss at sea. Retrieve or preserve something from potential loss or adverse circumstances. And then the noun salvage can be the rescue of a wrecked or disabled ship or its cargo. Salvage. It comes to us, as always, from Latin, salvare, meaning to save.
Ooh, I like that. That makes sense. John, tell me about Alien Romulus, and make sure you tell me why you picked that word.
Alien Romulus, as I believe we discussed last week, set between Alien 1 and Alien 2. It probably gave us a year at some point. I believe it's like in the 2020s, isn't it, when these movies are happening? It's
No, it's 21.
One of those ridiculous.
20,
Okay.
No, but it
something.
is. But I looked at a timeline. It's like Alien is only 20 to 40 years after, not Prometheus, but the next
Covenant.
one. Like they're not that far apart as much as I thought they were, which is interesting.
So I believe, though, this is happening like much closer to Alien.
Yeah, it's
Then-
like 20 years after, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and
So
Aliens is like something like 80 or 60. It's like because we find out that she's been like cryo frozen for all that time.
I think it was like 56 or something.
Yeah.
I like
Something
I just
where
watched it
like
this week. Yeah,
something where like she's essentially out of time.
Yeah. So, Alien Romulus, as we discussed, directed by Fede Alvarez, starring Kaylee Spaney. Rachel, can you give me a?
I think
okay.
that's right. I think that's
You
right.
like that? Good.
We'll go with
Caitlin
that.
Spaney, David Johnson, some other people. Here, so Caitlin Spaney is our sort of main character. Her name's Rain. She is living on a mining world, way the hell out. Like, just it is a world that is just run and owned by Weyland Yutani, and in effect, I mean, she's a colonist, and colonists, like, we know this is like all part of lore. Like, this is kind of, we knew these people existed, but this is us like seeing one of these colonies like in action. And the reality is she's more like an indentured servant
She's
to
like
the
a slave
company.
to the company. Yeah.
Yeah, and we like indentured servant. That's, the
Yeah,
capitalist
I
term.
bet we do, John. No, but like, I mean, obviously, like these are types of arrangements that are very rooted in history. It's like,
Sure.
especially like after like slavery was abolished, right? It's like companies and people would sort of like, yeah, you're free, but
Well-
you can't leave until you've paid off your debt to me. But guess what? It never pays down, right?
Yeah.
Like it's.
Eric,
There's
I
lots
don't
of
want to upset
precedents
you,
for
but
this.
this shit is like happening today in our
I know that's what,
world.
but it's poignant in the film for that reason.
Yeah. So she's effectively an orphan. Like, both of her parents have passed, but she now believes that she's like about to get off this planet, because she's done her time. Basically, she's like sort of paid off her debt. She has like one friend compatriot named Andy. Andy is actually a synthetic human. One of these.
He prefers artificial human.
Oh, do we? Okay, I couldn't remember.
He
if
says that.
preferred
He
synthetic.
says that.
No,
at some
I know.
point.
Yeah, I knew it was
And
like,
it's
I
like a
couldn't remember if
bishop
he was-
line. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of the many Easter eggs.
Yes. Well, and Andy, his specific type of synthetic human is like ND something something. Like, so Andy is just like the ND whatever. He had been found and then like repurposed or fixed up by her dad, and it's basically her.
He
like,
watches. He protects her.
friend. Yeah, I was gonna say like chaperone. I don't know. But he's also like not working 100% super great. So
And he's
she's
like sort of childlike. I mean, they're really looking out for each other, and thematically, that kind of
Yes.
comes full circle in the end.
she calls him her brother, like, but they think they're about to get off this planet. It turns out they're not. Wei Yu, in their infinite wisdom, has decided that
Way you.
it's like they've like doubled her debt. Like, so she basically like rolls up.
They're
and
like,
"Yeah,
nah,
you've got
you're
5
not
or
paid
6
off
more
yet. Sorry.
years." Yeah. So
John, I gotta say,
it's-
I've never seen this shirt you have on, and it's actually giving like Sigourney Weaver alien vibes. Like you
Yeah.
look like
There
you
is a
might
white-
have an alien jumpsuit on.
there's a white tee underneath, just to be clear.
Well, that's for when you go into cryo
Yeah.
sleep. You get into that in your tidy
Yeah.
whities and you go to sleep.
So Rain and Andy, instead of getting off of the planet, they decide they're going to hook up with sort of group of friends that I was unclear like exactly why they weren't tight anymore. One guy's like a super asshole, so we sort of know
Pretty
why
clear
she doesn't like him.
on that guy.
Yeah. But they have this plan where they are going to break into a effectively like decommissioned space station thing that has floated into their airspace, and they're going to steal off it some cryo sleep things so that the group of them can all escape to this Uvaga, I think it's called, the
Oh, that's
planet
good.
they're
Yeah.
trying to get to.
Yeah. That is, and they talk about how like you can actually see the sun there. Like it's essentially like it's a land before time. They're trying to find the Green Valley, or whatever they call
It is their Green Valley for sure. And what they don't know, and we had seen, I think there is like a little opening sequence where we see the alien that Ripley has jettisoned out of her ship, the Nostromo or whatever in the first one, is now being like captured or brought into this research facility and opened up and yada yada. So
It was sort of
we know-
calcified in some debris or something, and we all we see is them bringing on board of something, and then it just goes to like present day.
But so we know that this thing they're going on to has got a lot of alien stuff going on. They don't know that. And when they get there, they are able to sort of like achieve their initial goal pretty quickly. But then they need these power or cryo, whatever units that help keep everything cold.
They need extra cryo juice, and when they go to get it, they accidentally unleash the facehuggers, and it's all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Because the
And it's
facehuggers
like
are
a lot of
frozen
facehuggers.
are being frozen by these nodule things they need to steal.
Correct.
And
There's
then
an added,
there's
one other added element that's worth like mentioning up front, which is that this spaceship is like drifting toward the
rings of this planet.
Yeah, so it's like the rings of Saturn, but eventually it's going to hit them. They think they have like 40 hours, but pretty early on, I can't remember exactly what happened. Oh, the ship crashes and like
crash.
jolts it, and then that makes it so they have like whatever 40
it's like
minutes.
47 minutes, they say.
Yeah. So, and then alien stuff happens.
Then a bunch of penis vagina monsters try to put
Nice,
stuff in your
penis
mouth.
in vagina monsters. Yeah.
So graphic.
I was trying to remember. We can get to the review in a second here, but I was trying to remember, like, because in the first film, right, we get the chest burster. It's like a little guy. He runs away, and then next time we see him, he's like an alien, right? I can't remember. Maybe we see some metamorphosis, but that's basically it. Aliens was what introduced what I'll call the wall vaginas, that are essentially like little like more metamorphosis pods. I feel like wasn't that a specific piece of lore that came from Aliens?
I don't.
Because the mother's
I remember
there,
them
and they're like
kind of
all the
being
people in Aliens are like in the walls and shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing any of
remember
that.
being
in the
quite
I don't
original.
remember
that
the
detailed.
vaginas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, and I certainly don't remember them doing something that you can only see on the internet.
But there's definitely people like clung to the wall
There,
in shit like that
for
in
sure.
Aliens.
Yes.
The cookie
Yeah,
thing in the wall is 100% in Aliens, but I'm specifically talking about the scene that we all know what we're
Well,
talking about.
maybe Ash designed the wall vaginas because he's a little freak.
I think it might be a callback to something that did not show up in the first Aliens film, which was Dallas's more involved death, where he begins metamorphosizing, and you learn that like the aliens can breed. What is it when it's just one sex? I can't think of the word. But
Hermaphrodites.
asexual.
Asexual.
yeah, and so like I think that's what it's referring to, and that's why you see kind of like a variety of things.
It's a good anatomy lesson, honestly. All right, let's do it. Rachel, what'd you think?
Okay, so like I said before the show, I'm actually really glad I took the time to watch this twice, because I think the first time I watched it, I was like being a little bit too much of a cranky, nitpicky nerd. And this time I was able to just enjoy it for, I know, shocking, right? I mean, don't worry, I'm still going to be like nitpicking and have
Rachel, are
some
you telling
gripes
me you were
about this movie.
overhyped for something and a little disappointed at first?
I mean, I know I'm the first person to ever do that, so everybody write it in your calendar.
Fair. You got me.
But yeah, so the second time I was ready to let it just sort of be exactly what it is. And what it is to me is just this very, very fun ride. They always talk about like Star Wars, everything in Star Wars is iconic, the sounds, the aesthetic, everything about it. And as I was watching it, I was thinking about how that's also really true for Aliens. When I'd hear noises like the grates opening, or later on with the pulse rifles, things like that, those sounds are just like ingrained and so singular that they're really, really iconic. So there's a lot of that to be enjoyed here. To me, this movie ultimately is kind of like the greatest hits of the Aliens franchise. I was saying, I said this before, but it's kind of like the Force Awakens of Aliens, in that it's like reinvigorating kind of a flagging franchise by being saying, you know, like basically saying like, remember all these things you loved about this franchise? Here they are with a brand new coat of paint.
And it's also bridging.
Well,
that
and
with
younger cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And the younger cast, I am of two minds. I think on one hand, they're about 40% too attractive. I miss the sort of like working class casting that was in the
I don't know.
first
Mullet
couple
guy
of
to me
films.
was pretty pitch perfect.
Okay.
That
Fine.
mine planet looked like hell on earth. Like
It
I don't
really
know how
did.
they
But
did
all
that.
the
Truly.
tones, I mean, I recognize them from other like young adult things that I've seen or had to cover for
Oh
work.
yeah, see, I
and they're
didn't
all,
know anybody except
Yeah.
for the girl that we saw in some other movie recently. The
Yeah,
main one.
it's like the guy from Shadow and Bone. Like it's all like kind of dreamy people. So to that end, like some of that was sorry, was distracting for me because I love the sorry, someone just walked in and handed me something. Because I love that aspect, the working class aspect of the previous films. I think this has a really good anti-corporatist message, but I miss some of the like feminist edge of the earlier film. But at the end of the day, I really just had a good time with this. So I will complain as we go on, but I want to make it very clear that I really did have a great time with this movie.
Casey.
Yeah, this is, to me, matches up well with Fede's Evil Dead, where this is an entry that doesn't outdo the originals, but it fits in really well. And I like what he's done here. It does have some of his flair. I really enjoyed this and how it played with the story, being really into Alien and aliens and whatnot. I'm a lore hound for this stuff too. Probably not as deep as Eric. I haven't found a Middle Eastern best friend yet, but
I go deep. It was
Yeah.
Eastern European, but still.
oh, sorry. Well, maybe mine will be Middle Eastern.
There you go. There's an
Yeah.
opening there for you.
But I like how the story played in and how the shoehorns in between the first two movies, and I think it continues on well, and and really sets up. It really continues well off of Alien, and the shoehorning into Aliens isn't necessarily as direct, I think, but you see how they're going to get there. And it works. Was this the same colony from Aliens that they went to?
No, in
No.
fact, I don't think it bridges to Aliens at all.
Okay, that's what I
Unless
wasn't
they
sure
make
on.
some shit up that we don't really. I know
mean-
Rachel's smarter than me. I didn't think it did, but
I mean, the bar is the Hadley Hope. We find out that's like actually it's
Yeah.
not just it's a chain.
But I also
Oh,
love it. I
interesting.
thought it looked well. Somebody on Threads had mentioned how great it is to see like a real grimy sci-fi spaceship again. We haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah,
And
it's
this
gorgeous.
movie looks great. It looks lived in. It's grimy. It's chunky. I really love all that. We get a new weapon with that rotating stock she gets. We always get kind of a new weapon set up, and when we get a new Alien movie, that was fun. The xenomorphs look great. The vagina cocoons were cool as far as they look Geigerish. And I won't spoil it here, but I always love to see the weird hybrid combos that comes out when aliens, when a face hugger grabs something different, and we get an outcome here that I don't think we've seen yet, and I was all for it. That was my favorite part.
Well, we should get to that because it's not exactly the face hugger scenario. But yeah.
I'll bring us into it because you know my
Eric,
thoughts.
I know how excited you were when that happened.
I went.
There was clapping in my theater at that sequence. Like people legit were like, "Whoa!" Yeah.
John, hit me.
Guys, I fucking loved this movie.
Yeah.
Nice.
As I was saying, I went back and watched Aliens because to me, there's a question of if this is the second best Alien movie.
Really?
That's where I am.
John.
That's where I'm coming out right now.
John, you are so hot to me right now.
I don't know who you are. Don't even look at me.
Look,
I think it's easily without question, the third best Aliens film.
There you go.
Excuse me.
I am willing to hear more about this argument of yours that it's the second best.
Which one is it better than?
Well, I have Alien.
No,
the
it's
first
Alien.
movie
To
is
me,
number
it's
one.
Alien, Aliens, and this. So I assume John's saying
I'm willing to put. I think I am willing to put this in front of Aliens at this point. Really? Having just rewatched it for the first time, probably in like at least 10 years and maybe longer.
John, I love
Aliens.
Game over, man. Game over.
I love this
Aliens
so much.
Let's come back. We don't need to have that conversation until maybe later. But
Rachel's apoplectic right now.
Here's what I'll say. I thought this was so.
Rachel, don't throw that at him.
I thought this was so well dialed in for both. I mean, Rachel, you described it as like a greatest hits. 100% agree. But to me, it also
It's not
like,
fan
works.
servicey. It's so subtle and well done. That's it.
Hold
like,
on.
No.
It is fan servicey.
No. But you're talking. But Rachel and her thing though is comparing it to that Star Wars movie. That Star Wars movie is like filleting you with fan service. This is there, but it's in the middle of a great movie that's threading the needle like really finely.
So that's what I was going to say. I think this stands on its own much better than I was expecting. I think, look, I didn't know who any of these actors were, so it is what it is, I guess. I knew the main actress because she's been in a bunch of stuff recently.
We just did a movie with her not too long ago.
Yeah, I'd have to. Oh,
What's
yeah,
that?
she's the photographer. She's the young photographer in Civil War.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I thought it was excellent. I thought the writing was really good. I loved Andy. At first, I was like, this character is going to be so goddamn annoying because the way
so good.
Yeah.
Well, just the way they handle that character, like the change that he goes through, and then like the arc that he's allowed as a artificial human or whatever the hell we want to call him, it's incredible. And the acting is amazing because that's a really hard role to play in my mind. Like to do that, basically like of mice and men, like the like Lenny thing that he's or whatever that he's doing in the beginning when he's like getting beat up by like the teens on the mining planet to then when he becomes the sort of like super synthetic human. I loved the fucking Rook stuff. Loved. Just like, so here for it. Like, I don't know. This worked for me, and I think it was a tighter film in a lot of ways. Here's the other thing I would love to talk about. The technology in this movie and the way that they kept it consistent. We're sitting here, 50 years since the first one, or,
Yeah, we're looking at
whatever
analog TVs and hard switches and buttons and shit.
Yeah.
But they do, and Rachel, you sort of said, like, the sort of emotional response you have as someone who loves those old, like I felt 100%. I just love the technology universe of this film and the way they kept it pretty consistent. While it's still, and just having watched some of the other ones recently, like it's still like it's a little cleaner looking. It's a little like they've updated it, but they've done it in a way that, as Casey was saying, it's still grimy. It's still like doing all of the way you fucking evil nonsense, but I don't know. I thought this was just so much better done than I was expecting. I expected it to be good. The buzz was good, and I still was like, wow, they really nailed this thing. So that's where I'm at.
Here's my one sentence review of this movie. It brought me joy. It made me smile. I legitimately cannot imagine how you could thread this needle better. And I'm really opinionated.
No.
Here's what the way that this film blends the old with the new, again, like it's visually takes us back to late stage space capitalism nightmare, right? And what I love is like, you know, I love that now with the two. I'm sorry. I'm gonna talk about Prometheus a little bit, but it doesn't. It doesn't.
I'll start
what,
a timer. Hold on, I'm gonna start.
What those films do is show us a different kind of space, right? And the whole thing about this world is how divided we are by class. We never see the world, but we get the context clues. Like in Prometheus, what we're looking at is Elon Musk, billionaire, like vanity project space travel, and it's so clean and luxurious, and like he's got this whole like Charlize Theron has this whole like beautiful pod she lives in and all this shit, right? And so we've now seen that, and we actually see the difference, because now we're back in dirty, like wage slave hell here, right? I absolutely loved the slice that we get of life on this mining planet, because that's actually new color to this whole living style of these people that goes all the way back to the original Alien, and it's so good. Like I love just visually. It feels like such a concrete place, this planet that they're on, and it was the first thing I've ever like. Because I, for a while, was just like, largely, I'm like, do we need all these like nostalgia movies? Seriously? Watching this movie, I was like, oh, I actually now can see how much interesting shit is potentially in the wider universe of this film. And it all to me stems from that slice of life we got in the beginning of the film.
Oh, yeah.
Well, aren't they making, there's like a TV show that
Somebody
Noah
brought that up. I
Hawley's
actually
working on
hadn't
a
heard
TV
of
show?
that.
Alien
Yeah.
Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the Fargo guy.
You know, and
Yeah.
I love the characters. I love the actors. I love Andy. I think his physical performance of that actor is like incredible. And I think what's so fascinating and timely about Aliens, not just this class stuff, but, you know, 1979, we're like exploring morality issues with AI in a purely speculative sci-fi nature. And now we're like on the brink of actually having to be able to answer these questions. And I love the way that the film played with it, with like, you know, they give there's a dialogue part early on that illustrates it really great of like, I can't remember who they're talking about, but it's like one of these robots that let two people die. And they're like, well, why did he do that? And it was like, well, because 3 people survived. Right. And so it's like, sure, we can teach AI morals, but like whose morals? Humans haven't been able to agree on what morals are since the beginning of fucking time. And they're very relative to where you live and who you are and your experience. And we even see that idea played with in the film when his chip gets swapped out. And now all of a sudden his directive is, you know, that of the companies. There's obviously this huge thread with John, you called him Rook, but that's in the original film, that's Ash, right? Is there some kind of difference that I'm supposed to be parsing? Or is that just...
Wasn't his name Rook?
They call him Rook in the movie.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
name is Rook
okay.
in this movie, and it's Ash.
Interesting.
Oh, so maybe he's just like a different version of the...
I didn't think so, though. It seemed like
He must
was
be.
the...
Well, it's,
But
it's
why would he
definitely...
have
was it
why would he
Ian
be
Holm?
torn? Why would he be torn apart in the same exact way, though?
I mean, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the same one from
No.
Alien.
Interesting.
Oh,
I
wait,
just
are
assumed
you
it
saying
was.
you think it was taken off the wreckage of the Nostromo?
I
I
just
didn't
made
think
that. I made that
Didn't they
assumption
find him in
because
the
they
space
were
station?
pulling shit in from space, right?
Yeah, except for that he's like laying there with near where the alien has like burned through the floor. So like something had
Actually,
obviously
you
gone
know
down
what?
that
In the
road.
original film, isn't he fully cut off at the neck?
Yeah.
This guy has arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's
so-
there. I think he's like the science officer in both scenarios, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
I
he's
did
just
not-
like another version of the same.
So I
science
didn't fully
officer.
get that. I was just assuming, but now that with the name thing makes sense.
Yeah.
I can be honest about this. The fucking deepfake CGI is a nightmare.
Thank
and it's,
you.
It's not just that it's bad. It's that it's
Totally fine with it.
It's
Floating
off-puttingly
over
bad.
his
It looked
face.
like a little teeny pumpkin with a face squished on it. Like, but that said, I don't know how they do these acting performances, but I love his performance, and I think the voice is awesome. And just that actor, like I'm over the whole
Didn't he die? He's dead, right?
He's dead,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I get there's moral issues, right? Because like an actor who dies before, and I don't know when he died. I think that's a good question, because
It
like
was
if
somewhat recent.
okay,
Yeah,
so
within the last 5 to
perhaps
10 years.
perhaps they were able to have this conversation with him, and he signed off on it. That's where the morally gray, right? Because an actor who's alive now could theoretically, towards the end of their life, sign a contract with a studio and be like, you know what, go for it. Here's my conditions. Make sure my family is taken care of. I think, like, in a totally understandable way, this is super morally gray when you're doing it with actors who maybe died in the 80s or something. Like, if this guy died recently, gray area, who knows? I have to imagine his family's, his estate
I
or
feel like
something
I
is taken care
saw
of there.
in the credits that it was like with permission of the family.
It has
estate
to
or
be, right? I mean,
something.
you wouldn't
They
just
would be
do it.
getting sued up the
Again,
ass if
no,
they
no,
did.
I know, I
They
understand
did.
that, but what I'm saying is like you can't trust the studio to like do good by these families. Let's not like fucking put too much faith in them. Right?
Yeah, Wayu would not stand for any
John,
of this.
stop towing the company line, John. No, but look, the CGI is a mess, but I was able to get over it because I love the performance. However they mocapped it, whatever, it's really compelling, and I love with this character. It's just a brilliant way to bring in more information and to do the info dumps. That accent is, however they like depict the voice, is fucking great. I love the interactions between him and Andy. It's fun watching the two synthetics talk to each other. Man, so they used a lot of real prosthetics in this movie. The monster action's fucking great. I think that they do a thing which is really smart, which is like, I don't think there's ever been like an army of face huggers active at the same time as a bunch of xenomorphs before. So it's just like a full on assault no
Yeah.
matter where you go. But it's great. It ramps, right? It starts off with one xenomorph, and that's plenty to get you set up scenarios for a while. And then by the end, we're just like full aliens, bonkers, bananas shit, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the alien isolation influence, which is like a big part of what made
Totally.
me
And
like
they
this.
even they name check like colonial marines, and like there's lots of fun shit in there. It is super tense. I also think it takes moments. It's a really beautiful film, and I think that's something that's missing from the originals. Not that it needed to be there, but that I think Ridley Scott was really exploring in the last two, was the idea that this kind of space exploration is a really beautiful, sublime kind of thing, even when it's also being scary. And the choice, like, I love this whole thing with the rings of the planet. These shots
the
outside
best.
of the spaceship are fucking gorgeous. When
Well,
we're
and I
like
love
smashing
when
into
it's-
it and it's tearing
yeah.
things apart.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like, I was like visually in awe of these moments, and I think like I love that we're even a little, I think we don't even see, but the characters talk about seeing the sun, like I just think it's a visually expressive film in a way that those original films aren't, because they're dark and claustrophobic and scary,
Well,
and that's great for those movies.
They didn't have
but
the
I love that
technology or the budgets for that.
totally. I
like,
love that we're
Yeah.
exploring that in these films. I'm not a big Evil Dead guy remake. Like, I thought it was really good, but it's not the thing that I was like ever compelled to really. It wasn't a thing that I came out of and was like, I can't wait to see what he does next. I'm like fully on the Alvarez bandwagon at this point. Like, so we can jump into the spoilers, but like, they fully acknowledge the kind of Prometheus lineage in this film in a way that I was not expecting them to go this far. I think what's beautiful about it is you actually don't really need to have the knowledge or even go that deep into it to appreciate, like, they really tie it up in a way that's like, it doesn't really matter where this shit came from, but here's what it does, and here's what we're trying to do with it, which is basically create like superhumans to fucking mine their nightmare planets, right? That leads to this amazing, to me, reveal at the end of this fucking insane baby engineer monster dude. I mean, you don't, I don't have to tell you I love that moment.
Yeah. When
That
I
was
saw it, I
Eric
immediately
Fanservice.
thought of you. I was like,
Yeah,
he's going
I
to
know.
love
Visually
this movie.
horrifying and disgusting. Like, just the
Yeah.
body and he's got little vestigial tail action happening, and like, dude, it was so
Well,
Well,
from
his
the
tail's
very
like growing. Yeah.
Yeah. From the beginning of that scene, though, that was, for me, that was the moment where I was on the edge of my seat and kind of slack jawed, just like, holy crap, because you start seeing her stomach move and you know something's happening. And then it was kind of all new from there on, so that was really exciting.
And
Oh,
again, right? Like, yeah, like you're saying, Casey, and they explore this in some of the early sequels. The idea that the xenomorph can be something else
yeah.
based on like how it is gestating, and that was an idea that they sort of fleshed out more in the prequels, and they, to me, sort of find a middle ground here of exploring like other kinds of forms of it without like really getting, they're not navel gazing about any of the Prometheus stuff, but they're tying
Well,
it in a way that I think can serve it going forward.
well, even in the end of Alien versus Predator, we got the Predator xenomorph hybrid at the very end that hatched.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
right
that
out
shit
its
is just
jaws.
fun. It's just
Yeah.
fun. So like
That's one of my favorite things about all the lore is
I'll tell you
seeing
that
the
the
different
only,
hybrids.
I didn't really need the like get away from her bitch or whatever that line that was. Like that was
I
really
fucking hate that line so much. I
Whoa,
booed
Rachel.
in the theater.
Rachel. No, it was honestly it was bizarre because I think the movie is above it. I don't, and there's no reason for it to be there, and it takes you out of what otherwise is a movie that. And this is my point. That Star Wars movie needed the fan service. I'm not saying it's bad. I like that movie, but it needed the fan service. This movie doesn't really need it. I love the Easter eggs. I love to be able to like be like, ooh, I know that thing, but I don't need the fucking character looking at the film and being like, I'll be back. Like you
Yeah.
don't need it because it's a fucking great movie. So it's bizarre. I think that stuff even made it in. I feel like.
Yeah. It was infuriating. I hated it. It cheapened
Rachel,
moment.
Jesus Christ.
and it
Wow.
and I feel like it diminishes the Rain character. I think it is absurdly winking at the audience. I think it's taking one of the like really powerful moments from an earlier film and treating it as just like it's some fan service thing instead of like it being profoundly meaningful in Aliens.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I just I was enjoying it so much I was able to breeze over it pretty quickly. I winced
I
a little
legit-
and then I was like,
it-
it's
I
Like the
almost,
more
like,
you
didn't
guys
even clock it.
fangirl over this movie, the less I like it.
I can tell you're
I'm
sounds
getting,
like
I'm
a-
getting
upset.
more and more irritated just
that
because I
sounds like a you problem, Rachel.
I mean, I got a lot of those. No, I mean, I do think this movie does a really interesting thing in the way that it looks at capitalism and corporate stuff. I think going
And
through
it's more relevant than ever, which is why I really think there's so much there to explore.
but it's at the cost of another theme that was foundational to the franchise that is also extremely relevant. I mean, the first film came out just a couple of years after the passage of Roe, where it like takes this idea of enforced pregnancy, where that was something that was commonplace, and flips it on its head by having a man go through that experience, and it has this really interesting commentary about bodily autonomy. Here we are, not even a year out of having lost Roe, and it completely shuttles any of those ideas. And that to me was a very big missed opportunity. I liked the sort of like immigration stuff that he brought into it, like the third world stuff. I think that, these people are second generation immigrants. Essentially, there's interesting ideas there, but this is a franchise that's built on like some very specific themes that just it shuttles. And that to me was like the biggest disappointment of the film for me. And it's underscored by that line. Like it treats that so dismissively and so disposably that when it happened, I was like, what? What is this? This is garbage. This is garbage, mama.
Do you have the same criticism of the other Alien sequels that don't do as much about like the
Well, I think-
feminism and bodily autonomy stuff? Because like the third one, which I've been watching, like
yeah. I mean, that one's
the
interesting.
dog is what gets
Dog
turned
autonomy.
into an alien. Like it's the dog.
Well, the third movie is all about the AIDS crisis and like the aftermath of, so like it still has interesting things to say that feel kind of rooted in the same sort of marginalized people. Like exploring AI is interesting, but it just doesn't have the same, I don't know,
This is
poignancy
the one
to
that's
me.
This one is the most explicit about capitalism and like as what did you call it, Eric? Like nightmare fuel, like post
Like
space travel
late
capitalism.
stage,
I can't remember.
late stage
Yeah.
space capitalism.
Like
Yeah.
I do think this movie is trying to like address some of this stuff. Like I mean the immigration piece, this whole piece about like Andy not being able to go with them because the like Uvaga system doesn't allow
Yeah,
artificial human. Like
That's really
I don't know.
interesting.
Like
yeah.
I think it's like a little bit of a weird bar to set to be like it doesn't do the thing that I love from the first two movies, so like that's like why I'm gonna not like it. The line thing is fair, like whatever. But again, like it,
Yeah.
I didn't clock it even at the time. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing from the other movie, and then it was just like I kept going. So I don't know.
I mean, I would argue too. I'm not even argue, but just posit like so much of that was based on the strength of Sigourney Weaver and that specific character. Like, I wonder how much they're trying to just move on and do a different thing
mean,
with this one.
They certainly included it in Prometheus, so
I don't remember anything.
From
You
who,
don't
like
remember
from
the,
me, like
like,
from the
most-
Shaw perspective, and
the most unapologetic abortion scene I've seen in a movie since Swallow.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember. I truly like.
She
that,
climbs
like,
into the
blacked it
medical
out.
pod and tells it to remove this thing. from her,
Oh
basically.
yeah, okay.
And,
All
like,
right,
yanks
it
forgot
out
about
of
that.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here for all your Prometheus needs, John.
Yeah, no, apparently. Yeah, I mean, look, it's fair. I don't know. I guess I didn't expect it to do, and like, I don't go into a movie like this expecting it to carry the torch in any specific way, if that makes sense. Like, it's as good a sci-fi action horror movie as we've had in I don't know since Aliens.
yeah.
Like it's like really.
Listen, can we talk about the size of the balls on the facehuggers, please? Because they were meaty.
It was
all,
very
it's
front and
all I
center.
could see after that conversation last week. I was just
Yeah,
like, look at
yeah.
the fucking balls on those things. Jesus Christ.
I was really impressed that I don't think we've ever seen anybody resist the face huggers quite as well as this crew did.
Dude, that one shot that they use in the trailer that they do here where you actually see him fighting and you see the thing
And
and
he
it goes in
spits
his
it
mouth
out.
for a second. Ugh, like, oh
Yeah.
my God. Jesus Christ.
Well, there is a scene again because I just watched it. There's a scene where Sigourney Weaver has a face hugger basically like fully on her face in Aliens, and they're
Aliens,
able to
yeah.
like get it off, you know. But
I love this scene where they are. It basically turned into Splinter Cell for a minute, where they're trying to sneak through the room full of facehuggers.
yeah, it was.
I
a
loved how
little
they're- I just liked how
ridiculous.
they're, like-
I didn't buy that was gonna work.
I liked how they're like
It's
skittering around and they're just kind of like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
pretty sweet.
doing their little face hugger dance. Yeah, yeah. I like for someone who, as I said, cannot remember any of the Prometheus stuff. I did like that they at least try to pull it into canon through this like whatever I don't even the synthesized alien DNA or whatever was going on. What the question it raised for me, and maybe you all will be closer on the lore and be able to answer this. Like in the timeline, in Aliens, which comes after this, like they're still surprised and like the Marines are like not even believing Ripley that there's like an alien presence on this planet. Like there's all this stuff where in this movie they're so advanced in how they're handling some of this alien stuff, and then Aliens, it's like they have no idea. Like are we just to believe that there's not communication
knowledge.
happening in between?
Right.
Well,
See that
they're
it's,
spread
like,
out.
top secret. You know, these are grunts that are going to that planet. That,
Yeah.
Like your marine grunts are not going to know the top
Well,
secret
that's
things
true.
that like the
Yeah,
CIA
and also
would
like
know.
Yeah.
so much the actual evidence gets destroyed at the end of the film. Theoretically, I mean, whatever we might pick it up out of the asteroid belt or whatever in like 20
Have
years.
they ever? This is going to be nerdy, but
Suck
have
it
they
into
ever
the
mentioned like the
spaceship.
communication delay in these movies? I don't fully remember because because we know we can deduce from all the movies that they don't have light speed, so these ships are spread out all across the galaxy,
True.
and there's a lot of time delay, so they may not be
good
able
question.
to keep in
Yeah.
communication.
No,
Especially-
no, it's definitely true.
I mean, well, it's clear that the company knows about the events of Prometheus because they somehow know that there was an alien. Like Ash must have gotten some sort of communique through because they went hunting for the Nostromo to specifically get the alien.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but like, and to Rachel's point earlier, a mega corporation doing a secret project that nobody else knows about. They do that now.
Here's what I would say though. Do they know about Prometheus? Because they, and this is when I keep saying thread the needle, this is what I mean, because they're so cutesy about the language, right? Because what he actually, so to reverse, like, okay, the engineers make the black goo, which is essentially a bioweapon that just fucking explode, murders everything. That sets off the chain of events that eventually helps David create xenomorphs, right? Just through like, okay, they don't say what he says he did was reverse engineer the xenomorph down to like the DNA essence. So he basically, what I got out of this is he reverse engineered the black goo.
Yeah.
And he refers to it as essentially like the essence of life.
Yeah.
And he then refers to that as Promethean fire,
Yeah.
which is to me a winky way for him to say that, because we know the movie's called Prometheus, but he at no point references engineers or that he knows where that came from or any of that. Like I took it as he just reverse engineers it. The only thing I guess against that is in his hologram, we do see the urn.
Yep. Yep. The urn is there. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that they know that it happened and they're reverse engineering whatever it is that was on that.
They're trying
And
to.
this annoys me
they're
more
trying to
that
get back to
that we never got the third film, right? Because there's nothing
Yeah.
at this point. The only what the fuck? I mean, the second one ended with David on the ship with a bunch of people in cryosleep, and he had his little xenomorph like babies that he was like whatever he had in his little test tube things. So like we just don't get that connection, which I know most people don't care, but I care. But I what I like is like the part of the beauty of the original, and I know a lot of people hate the Prometheus stuff because it demystifies it. But what I like about this film is it kind of answers some questions and asks more. Like I think you can thread that needle, or you can get away with that, where it's okay to give us some answers and then you give us more questions. You know what I mean? And we're always kind of like wondering more about what's happening.
Oh yeah, I mean this franchise for me, I've talked about on the show before how one of my favorite things is world building when you get into, especially with franchises, books, and everything else. The Alien franchise is one of the classics for world building. I mean, it's huge, and when you start piecing it together with comics and stuff like that, it's just never ending. And like you said earlier, Eric, they could play in this universe as much as they wanted.
Rachel, you said you just watched it again, right?
What? Prometheus?
No,
I watched. Oh.
the Romulus.
Yeah. I mean, literally before the show.
What were your impressions of that scene with Rook at the end with the holograms and stuff, where he's kind of dropping the?
Oh, I mean, I thought it was
stuff.
a direct tie-in, and what we're seeing is kind of the next phase. The reason they went to go get that alien, the whole purpose behind going to like salvage it was because they're like, okay, there's the material that we need in order to be able to recreate, potentially synthesize this whatever substance.
I mean, I do. When I looked at the timeline, all of the films, 1, 2, like Prometheus, the other one whose name I literally can never remember, and then 1, 2, like
Covenant.
they were closer in time on the timeline than I thought that they were.
Isn't Wayland, like Mr. Wayland, in Prometheus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
God,
Yep.
he's what's his face? What's that guy's name?
Guy
Ritchie.
Pierce,
Guy Pierce. Yeah.
who's there to deliver his weird Christian nationalist, Western nationalist screed.
You guys remember
Right.
so much more of Prometheus than
And
I
I
feel
say
like now I gotta
vanity
go
project
rewatch
because
that.
literally the reason he wants to go on that trip is because he thinks that they could hold the key to eternal life.
I remember that piece.
And then he immediately gets murdered, which is my favorite part of that movie, honestly. just fucking hucks him across like he's a fly or something. I love it. And again,
Have they said? Is
I
there
love
like a
that
new
because
one?
like the whole thought is that you're gonna go and get answers the whole movie, right? And I just love the way it subverted that into just like, no, you're like literally just an insect to this thing, and he's gonna fucking squash you.
So they say, other than this TV show they're working on, like, is there plans for more films now?
I mean, this did really well. And Fede has said that he has ideas for the next film. So my guess is we're not done. We're not done. We're
Yeah.
gonna get another one.
Let's
but at
toss
some
one
point,
at-
I'm like, when does this break canon? And do we care? Are we a slave to canon? Can we let it go?
Well, what
don't
I
know.
love is that there's all, because it's so mysterious and you have all of space to work with and time. I realized with this movie, like, you can kind of stick some shit in wherever and just be like, "Yep, it happened here." And just like,
I feel like they've set Kaylee Spaney to be like the new Ripley. You know, like but then to your point, Rachel, like I don't know how you keep the movies going in this. Like it's now like a second timeline that's like inside the original timeline, which is a little weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because she's
two
now
advancing timelines in.
But now they have set this film. I mean, whatever, we've already spoiled. But like, she ends this movie. Unless I'm just forgetting, she's like in cryosleep. Andy's in cryosleep, but he's like severely damaged.
Yeah.
So
She's like, I'm gonna fix you.
You know, like the series has had the third one.
Are they even
the third one?
involved
They
if
just
they
like
make
crash
another
land
one?
on it. No, well, they could do a whole thing where it's like, oh, they were aiming for Yuvaga, but instead of 9 years, they slept for 38 years, and
God.
now they're on some other planet. You know, like you could do kind of whatever you want.
Can we bring Paul Reiser back? Does he die in Aliens? He must die, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He died.
He did.
Could we create some kind of Paul Reiser engineer hybrid, perhaps? Can we bring him back to life?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Sure.
Like this baby engineer man with like Paul Reiser head coming out of his vestigial tail.
They brought Ian Holm back, so why not?
Paul Reiser's
Paul Reiser's
alive.
still
isn't he?
alive, by the way.
I know,
They
but
would
they
have
could
to
bring-
de-age him. Like,
Yeah, they'd have to de-age him.
He would end up looking like a cat.
only if his head looks like a shriveled pumpkin, like it does in this movie. There was a proportion problem. Like the proportion was not right. The head was not big
And
enough for the body.
textures.
And
Yeah.
like it was like
wild,
squishy.
It looked
yeah.
unfinished.
It was like you ever leave a pumpkin on your porch for like a month after Halloween. That's what his face looked like.
Guys, his body was like a bunch of fucking white bubbly shit coming out of a like human. Obviously I clocked that his face looks weird, but I was just like, I don't know, whatever.
So I do have one. I will make one nerdy, like continuity nitpick, which is largely I think like the film follows a lot of logic, which I liked, but like this thing with the neck chips, right? So when they remove Andy's neck chip, he basically is shut down until you put another one in. But they removed Rook's neck chip and didn't put another one in, and he was still fully functional. They removed Rook's neck chip to give to Andy. They didn't put Andy's into him, but he was just fine.
Well, they
But at the
had him
same
plugged
time-
in to
Yeah.
whatever he was sitting on, like the,
okay.
the
He,
main
they
frame.
basically,
I'll buy
exactly, they jacked him into, because he was like
They
not
gave him,
upset.
they gave him some hardware for his wetware. Is what
Also
you're saying.
different
Yeah.
models.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Fine, I'll buy that.
My own nerdy input. I didn't catch all the Easter eggs. There's a ton of them in this, but there's a couple times our main actress, what's her first name again?
Kaylee
Kaylee
or
Spaney.
Rain.
Kaylee Spaney. They gave her a couple of really great Ripley throwback shots with the Xeno there towards the end. There was a shot where the Xeno had thrown her against the wall and she turned her head and it was right up in her face. That was 100% a Ripley shot. Yeah. There's also a great shot in here too that looks like it's taken from the Alien Isolation game cover. There's a specific game.
See, those are the kinds of fan servicey things that I like because they're subtle and they don't take you out, I feel like, of the moment as opposed to like a line that you don't need.
I've never played, nor do I know anything about Alien Isolation.
The brilliant thing about Alien Isolation is
It's
that
good.
if you had the right kind of controller, it would actually react to your sounds. So if you got scared and screamed, the alien would find you.
Yeah, in the VR version, like
Yeah.
you have to like hold your breath because it'll hear you.
Pretty brilliant.
I don't know if I need that. in
I
my
don't wanna
life.
play
It's
it, ever.
terrifying. It's
No.
so much fun, but it is terrifying.
The
The first
first
time I played it,
time-
I just got stuck in a locker and then eventually like gave up, and then years later came back.
I put on a VR headset exactly once in my life. I put it on. It was some kind of game where you're in like a city and you're shooting like futuristic robots, and I like a robot jumped down in front of me that like in real life would have been like 7 feet tall, and I fucking threw the headset off of my head. Like, terrified me in a guttural way that I was
Yeah.
like, nope, not doing that.
Yeah.
My fight or flight, like I've been walking around for 42 years with my fight or flight pinged. Like, I don't need to do that artificially with a video game. It's the same way I feel about like haunted houses. Like, yeah, that's my life every day. I live in a haunted house. I'm all set. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
But what to the sequel point, I think that I think they'll get themselves in a real trap if they go from the success and try to just sequelize it and start cranking them out and making it like. I think you got to really be thoughtful about it and pick your spots. And again, it's like you don't want to fill in too much. You want to fill in just enough to keep it intriguing and ask more questions and like just keep that mystery going. I think while you're giving some away. I mean, to me, it's like it's got to be about well, I guess they're gone. I guess it doesn't exist anymore. I don't know. These like engineer baby man, like in their, but I guess that knowledge is lost, right? Like by the end of the film.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's another planet out there, right? Because I mean, they were like responsible for essentially panspermia, right? So that was probably.
But I mean, that knowledge is lost from the company.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
At least theoretically in this timeline.
Well,
this is where I don't
least have some of
believe
it.
that they wouldn't have transmitted it to somewhere else at that point.
Yeah,
you
The
know?
company's colonizing. They could. I mean, we found the engineer's ship throughout Prometheus and Alien. They could have found more from, or like you mentioned, other ships' remains, or where they came from, etc. Relics.
I was holding out hope until the end of the credits that Fassbender was going to show up. I would have literally plotzed in the theater if that had happened.
Oh,
Just full attention. I am in love with Michael Fassbender. Like, did you see that movie that he did with he just came out. He was an assassin. It was based on a book or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
The Killer.
new Fincher one,
Killer.
right?
Fincher,
Yeah.
yes, The Killer. It fucks. That movie
Yeah,
is awesome.
it's real good.
It's
I have a gift for you. I have a press kit that I'm going to send you because I don't know what to do with it.
Oh my God, please.
Okay.
Please.
I thought it was fine.
I can start my Fassbender shrine with that.
It's a big postery thing.
Hell yeah. Love it.
Well,
Anything else?
I'll watch this TV show. I like Noah Hawley. I guess I'll give that a shot. So
What's
you
it?
know.
What is the log line of the show? Like, what's it about?
Aliens.
it's no, I don't think there's any alien. It's
Thanks,
like
Casey.
it's about the like development of the artificial humans, the synthetic humans, I think.
Oh, you guys are going to have a great time.
Oh, so we're like back on Earth, basically.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
you know what I wanted?
that's potential for good lore.
You know what I really
I'm
want to
getting
see?
a Way
in it?
You t-shirt. So
What I want to see, and I think it ruins the illusion because like part of what is so great about just always being in space in these films is like it really puts you in the lives of these people who are just they don't live on Earth or Earth 2 or whatever the fuck, like they're just on this nightmare mining planet. But it really made me think of like I put my John hat on for a second and I was like, what's the business model here, right? And if we're a company that is out spending all our time extracting resources, like they're going somewhere, and somewhere in this universe literally there's like a 1% that's being served by this like, you know, throng of people like extracting resources for them.
it
And I
is
wanna
extreme.
see it.
It's extreme. What's wage different? What do we call it these days?
Wage gap.
Sure.
But
Wage
like
gap.
I would love if we could see a sliver of that at least someday of like what is this all in service of? What's the like exploitative 1% world?
Where's
that is making this
headquarters? Like who's
possible?
running this company and like what's the do they have a strategy deck that outlines growth
I'd
opportunities
like to
and
see that. Yeah.
how the stock price is going to go up? That's what I would like to see. Yeah. I showed you guys. I got a sticker at the AMC was giving out stickers with when you went to the movie.
Okay, so I did not get a popcorn bucket, and I'll tell you why. This was so funny. Like, I didn't see any on display. So I'm like, they must
They're
not have
probably
them.
not child appropriate,
ask
so they have to
them.
keep them. Yeah, they got to keep them.
I decided I'm not sure I can be an adult who walks up and goes, "Do you guys have the popcorn buckets?" when I'm not even ordering popcorn. Like I just decided I can't be that person. No shade.
You don't eat popcorn?
No, I can't eat movie theater popcorn. Would fucking I would melt like I was drinking xenomorph blood, John, if I ate movie theater popcorn.
I don't know. Maybe they'd fill it with gummy bears for you or something. Like, tell them to. Do you have any unroasted almonds you could pour into this?
John, I can have popcorn. I can have popcorn with like olive oil and salt on it. You think there's olive oil in that gunk they're putting on there?
Oh,
John?
no.
There might be an olive oil.
Lord. All right, y'all. Would you recommend it, Rachel?
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun ride.
John?
Yes.
Casey?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thumbs up. 4 thumbs up from the BGH crew. I got to look at my list here, so let's do it. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
Rachel, I gotta be honest with you. You really threw me off there.
I did.
You were like talking about how you were gonna be nerding out before the episode, and then you're like,
I mean, I
hate it.
have nerd gripes. You misunderstood that I was saying I had nerd gripes from the beginning, that I was going to be too much of a fan to not point out some nerd gripes. They're very meaningful movies to me. Like, I'm sure there are things about
No, I get it.
about Friday the 13th that, like, when they don't happen, feels like a betrayal of the franchise to you. I understand
can
you
go
all
listen
think that's
to our
stupid,
episode.
but
I'll give you an example. When the remake, when they have Jason with a weed farm, I'm still angry about that, and it's been like 15
See,
years.
that's all it is. Like, I'm
get
gonna
it.
be okay. I'm gonna get through this
it.
this hardship and this hard time. But
Rachel, I hope you don't think I was saying you were stupid. That is not what was being said. So I'm sorry if that is how you
we're good.
feel. Okay.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Guys, I've been
All right.
spending most of the last couple days considering putting this as my number one.
Wow.
Oh,
Viable.
God.
Do it.
Okay, fine.
What do you have right now?
Right now, my top 5 is Long Legs, TV Glow, Lisa Frankenstein, Love Lies Bleeding, and Maxine.
I mean, this is the most fun out of all those. Like, if this is 2024 is about embrace joy, we're in an embrace joy moment right now. Embrace away. This movie is fun. It is, like I said, it is a carnival ride. It is. There were things that disappointed me about it, but I did have a lot of fun with it, and that is
John.
undeniable.
I saw it in IMAX, which was great. It was really good.
Can I remind me of the movie last week? Because I thought maybe I needed to add it.
Oh, Cuckoo.
Oh, yeah, I should add Cuckoo. Man, I'm gonna boot Abigail for Cuckoo. I liked Abigail.
You're just
but that was
swapping
like,
out Dan Stevens joints. Like,
Oh yeah, funny.
as
True.
long
No,
as D. Stevens
Abigail
is still
on this
there.
list was 100% like it was like April, and I needed to believe that it was really good so I could have something to put on my list. Also, John, can I get a rendition of Taps for the movie Trap, which was on the list for approximately 2 weeks?
Stop. Was it really on there? Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
I put it on there.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I got a banging top 10. It's August.
Dude, we
This is
still
a
got
banger.
some good movies coming.
No,
There's still
totally.
good-
But
still-
I
you
like
know.
to stop, John, and acknowledge when I actually am feeling good about the year in horror. And then Rachel will typically play yes and with me, as opposed to what you are doing right now. Every time I say, boy, this list is looking really good, you're like, we got so much more stuff to go. I know, John. That's how it works.
I'm celebrating the year. I'm saying this.
I'm
is,
trying
we're
to
having
be
a good
present
year.
in the moment and find joy in small things.
I look to the future. That's what I do.
It's like a real capitalist. John.
There we go.
What can we exploit tomorrow? I don't think we have email, but let me search it up real quick. Nope, we're good. Casey, go for it.
All right. We got a couple threads out there this week. First up, Agent of Trioxin. It's 2009, and you've just watched a Uruguayan YouTube short film titled Ataque de Panico, Panic Attack. Question, does that director deserve a career in Hollywood?
Is that
I-
Fede
I'm assuming
Alvarez?
so.
I think so. Yeah. I've never seen it.
I have not either.
We all know my position on short films.
But
Did he?
I would say-
I mean, he did.
that's the
Don't
case-
Breathe, right? He did. Did he do
Don't
the
Breathe
second
is-
Don't Breathe? Did we?
No.
I
he
think
did
he's the
not.
producer on the second one.
Oh, all right.
You mean the one where they very oddly turn that guy into a hero?
yeah.
I mean, part of
I don't
part of
think
my
I've seen
beef
it.
with this movie is probably informed a little bit by his canon of films. You know,
Wait, where do you land on the what's it called? The Evil Dead.
I mean, I really like it, but I mean, it has a he decided of all the things to keep in it. He's like, yeah, we got to keep that tree rate. Don't want to miss out on that special moment for the audience. And then the second movie is the turkey baster, and then this movie,
Yeah, fair.
Okay.
the only
That's-
sort of forcible penetration happens to Navarro, and you know what I mean. There's
All right.
some patterns forming.
Next up, we got our
That's
buddy
it.
Metal Prof. What would you rather have hugging your face than an alien?
My pillow? I don't know.
One of Matilda's many kittens.
I thought for sure Eric was going to say Schnars.
Oh, hey.
Schnarz's bosom, sure.
Oh boy, it's not that ample. I hate to break it to you.
I'm surprised you didn't go for the thighs, but okay.
Those are more ample than my bosom. So for what it's worth.
I am more of a buck guy, so maybe you're onto something.
Well, there you go.
I haven't seen what John's working with lately, though, so.
He's pulling a wagon.
You swing by New
You
Paltz
doing squats over there, John?
Betty Crocker bakes cakes.
once in a while,
good.
you know.
All right, last up, we got our buddy Popcorn Designs. Yeah, Alien versus Predator is neat, but when are we going to get the Alien versus Critter movie we deserve? Another
Critters.
user,
Critter,
another
how about-
Predator replied to that, said he's hanging out for Predator versus ET himself.
I was going to say, like, Critters versus Munchies, maybe?
After seeing that, the wall cocoon in this, I don't know that I want to see what that looks like in critter ball form.
Yeah.
Or maybe I do.
What about a from Mac and Me combined with a
Oh
xenomorph?
my god. Oh my god.
Just a little, like...
Yeah.
Or just that engineer, but the head is Mac from Mac. That's a fucking nightmare. I mean, that thing's a nightmare on its own, the Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is wild. It's funny. I walked in the other day and my partner was watching the MST3K version of that, so it's very fresh
That's
in my
awesome.
mind.
Oh,
I
yeah.
literally just saw like bits of it day before.
Pretty
yesterday.
nice.
I love that.
Eric,
Is that it?
That's it for threads.
I've had a long day, guys. You gotta remind me. Okay.
just get the yawn in, and we go from there.
This is from Michael, who just wants to make me say dirty things all the time. Would the human alien have been cooler if it had jugs like the one in Alien Resurrection? I gotta see that movie. That's the only one I haven't seen in the series. is
I haven't
Resurrection.
gotten to it yet. Rewatch. I've seen it once. But...
Oh,
Should
so
we
you haven't
review it?
seen Xeno Jugs.
No.
I kind of wondered if the weird genitals on the offspring was a callback to the digitally removed ones from Alien Resurrection.
Oh, interesting. Is it like it's like when the Ninja Turtles had like that one iteration where there was like a female Ninja Turtle with them and they gave it boobs in the weirdest, most awkward way possible?
No.
It's not great.
Oh no.
Turtle boobs.
Turtle boobs.
Any ideas as to what happens to alien acid blood after it burns out of spaceships? We didn't talk about the gauntlet of alien blood. That was
Yeah,
pretty sick.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
good.
That was good.
That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did love the seeing the external shot of the alien blood hitting the exterior hull. That was cool.
Oh, and I love too. Oh, and one thing I will say that one science thing that we have to accept, and you have to accept it for all the alien movies. It really, I'm like any science fiction movie until very recently, is the idea that like the vacuum of space, like if it opens up, that it's just windy, and you're like, we all saw what happened to that fucking submarine under the ocean, right? Like, I imagine if you're actually in the vacuum of space and shit opens up, you just do that, right? You just like puff into like a blood cloud, like. But
No.
in order
No.
to sustain
It's the
suspense in these
opposite.
films, right? But you're not just like, I'm holding on, like. There's no way that's what fucking happens when you're in space, dude. There's
Look,
no.
Well, it is though
Simpsons,
because
Deep
all the
Space
air is
Homer.
exiting.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is that force must be so violent. I feel like it's got to be instantaneous. The entire vacuum of space versus a tiny spaceship.
There's got to be an explainer on the internet we could read from like a
Scientists,
scientist, because
help in the
otherwise we're
chat,
just
help us out.
speculating.
Yeah, ask your Prometheus buddy.
But that is like pretty integral to the plot of basically all of the Alien movies.
All
Like,
of them, yeah, no, all of them
they're-
involve a scene where
the
we're holding
aliens
on. We're like,
getting-
Also,
the
John, if
aliens
that's
getting
not
shot out of
true,
airlocks.
if that's not true, it really punches a hole in the plot of Jason X, which is more concerning to me.
Trouble.
There we go
troubling.
again.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world.
I love you, Rachel. Why are countdowns never realistic in movies? No way it took 47 minutes to do all of that. Yeah, I don't know, but I think it was 47 real minutes though, wasn't it, from the end of the film? Or close to it, pretty close.
It
It was about 2
definitely-
hours and it was a little over halfway when they did that. We should look it
Yeah.
up.
I don't know. It did
Um,
feel like it was like an oddly short amount of time for them to have. Although the same thing happens in Aliens, by the way, where they think they have all this time, and then it's like
No comment.
I really loved the gravity thing. That was a really fun way to create tension, the way the gravity system having
Yeah.
to purge itself and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's
But
great.
that's
They
another-
establish it, and then it comes back in the end. Like that whole, I loved how that plays out though in the giant tunnel where
Totally.
suddenly you're just falling, right?
But that
And
is
it's fun-
another like science-y thing.
Yeah,
that you just
no,
have to
for
accept,
sure. It's,
'cause
I mean, it's
that's
obviously
definitely
like
not
a
how it
movie,
works.
yeah. But I loved watching the aliens respond to the sudden shift in gravity because they're all like, yeah, and then they're like, I love like that was fun. Carolyn, could you understand what they were saying, or should I get my ears checked? People keep saying this to us. Is our audience just that old that there's like lots of people out there?
Oh
with
boy.
hearing problems?
Boy.
I have this problem basically anything I watch at home now because I don't have a sound bar. I just use like the TV speakers. I really just need to fucking get it together.
No,
and get, like, a real...
at home setups are a fucking nightmare because the way they mix movies for like surround sound, if you don't have the perfect like system for that, it just does not sound right ever.
I feel like I have to like wear headphones or something when I'm watching movies. It's the only way I can like fucking
I can't
hear
never
anything.
hear. I can't hear dialogue. I can hear all
Yeah.
the sound effects and the dialogue's low.
Yeah.
So there are ways, John, to break your TV for headphones, even if it doesn't have a headphone jack. You can do it with the AV jack. I will do that sometimes because it's just it's infuriating, and I like being I like getting the surround sound with at least with a nice pair of headphones. You're getting it all.
Yeah. In the theater, I was fine. I don't know.
Yeah, theaters I'm largely fine with the sound. Freakiest birthing scene in a movie. I mean, original chest burster, definitely up there. What's that movie that Casey laughed at? Because he was so
Inside.
uncomfortable.
Inside.
Yeah. What was that one
Has
a while
anybody
back?
seen Anti-Birth with the
No.
oh my god, why can't I think of it? Well, she turns inside out. It's like a whole it's a whole thing.
That's up there then.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, did we cover? I thought we must have covered something that sounds like that. I don't know.
We didn't
There
mention
was
it,
one-
I mean,
but I loved how the engineer baby came out of like a Cabbage Patch pod.
Yeah.
It had like little flaps.
What was the movie we covered either earlier this year or late last year? The girl by the end had the monster baby, and then they showed her take it outside and deal with monster baby.
Oh,
Oh,
Immaculate.
I mean,
Immaculate?
Yeah, Immaculate.
I was just gonna say Immaculate. Yeah, that was crazy. And you don't even see it, right? That was all
Right.
sound. It's brilliant though.
Wow.
I mean, First Omen has a pretty gnarly one.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
Well, I was going to say the
Immaculate.
one
One
that
in
she,
particular?
Yeah.
Call back to pre-show. Immaculate is the new movie that hit streaming that I was trying to think of.
It did, yeah, I saw that. Eric, are we going to get through this, or what do you think?
I'm looking at the last couple questions to see if they're worth reading because we already answered them. Jonathan.
Sleepy.
Who else would you like to see an alien fight? Since humans and predators already got their chance. I could think of a few politicians I'd like to put in a room with an alien.
Yeah.
Oh, God, but
Too
can you
easy.
imagine what would come out of them?
Oh my God, imagine it comes out with the toupee on. Oh, like imagine the little baby xenomorph when it first pops out, but it's got the comb over.
Somebody get on Midjourney right now.
And like, oh my God, yes. Please, people listening, help us.
And the adult Xeno can only do accordion hands.
Just type in like, what would a xenomorph look like if it came out of Donald Trump? Oh my God, I love this. Holy fuck.
Oh, God. And it's just Baron Trump.
And just goes. And then like the end of Spaceballs just goes like, hello, my baby. Hello, my baby. By the way, I mean, Spaceballs, such a brilliant fucking parody of that. And it's not even, it's like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just like an add-on and it's like, it makes the whole fucking movie. Check, please. I love it. I saw Spaceballs maybe in an unhealthy amount as a child. So like, it's
been
one of those
years. I
ones
need
that
to
I
get
know
into
front to
it.
back.
I just watched it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I watched it. I showed my 10-year-old Spaceballs.
And it's
Yeah,
like
you got,
John
like,
Hurt. It's like the same actor.
Half the
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, so brilliant.
Yeah. I got to revisit that. I remember loving it as a kid. It was like definitely a slumber party. Like,
I now just want to reenact that whole scene. I'm going to stop myself. I won't do it.
well, if you get out a hat and do it, I encourage you to proceed.
Like he's bending over the table and starting to come out of his chest, and he's like, "Not again." All right. Rachel.
Is that what, are we done now, or?
No, I just wanted to serve as this comment because I think it's a really good point from Jace. It's cool how different perspectives can impact our viewing experiences. Obviously, the theme of the women's empowerment and autonomy was more important to Rachel than any of the guys. 100%. I also
We hate when movies are about that.
I'm also
say.
for women's autonomy for the record. But again, I was more focused on Xenoballs. You
Not
know, like
all
it's
men.
just
Not all men.
Yeah. Oh, I'll fully admit, I fall prey into, especially if it's an alien movie, I fall prey into, ooh, shit's gonna explode. Let's go.
Oh, I mean, me too. Me too. I just think it was, you know, like we said, it's just, I have a deeper connection to it and what I feel like it
You've
says.
got there's a Fede backstory that was like I was missing as well. I feel like so.
Yeah. So
here, Mike on the birthing scene thing. Titan.
Oh well,
Titan.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, now that's a movie.
I'll be honest, I don't
like-
remember the birthing scene. I just remember her banging the car and being like, I don't think that works that way.
Eric, you got to go rewatch the last like 20 minutes of that movie.
I think I
That
was
movie
checked
is
out.
a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's really good. It's screening at a theater in New York. I was considering going because I've never seen it in the theater. It's
All right. Rachel, where can people find you?
You can find me all across the Zombie Girls Podcast Network, where I will be talking about female autonomy and how it relates to horror. And you can follow us at ZG Podcast on all the platforms, or me personally at Rachy Pants.
I did want to say, John, shout out to, I don't know what her name is, but on Instagram, she sent us a picture of her face hugger tattoo and wanted me to assess it if it was too ball-like, and we all said no.
Yeah.
So this is, I actually
great.
like literally may use this as a style reference of like, here's how to make it not
Nice.
look like testicles. No veins. Step one.
No hair.
No hair. Yeah. I don't, nope. All right. Next week, what are we doing?
We don't know for sure.
Oddity.
Ah, yes, we do know for
I
sure.
thought we called it. We put it on the
Oddity works for
sketch.
me. I have no idea what it's about. I'm going to go in completely blind.
Sorry, stars. This episode's been a journey.
Also, John, get excited because you're going to get vacation, Eric, next week.
Ooh.
I don't know what
Scary.
that looks like. I don't know
Is
what
that
that
just
looks
Eric,
like.
but in a Hawaiian shirt?
Yeah, like probably just as tightly wound as I am right now. So
I was gonna say it's gonna be exhausted, Eric.
I
I
was.
always
Is
come
it?
back from vacation exhausted.
Yeah. Or do you have to go to work on Thursday or no?
no, I'm taking Thursday, Friday off. I took the whole week off.
Oh wow. This could be a special, Eric. We'll see.
There you go.
It's the best chance we're gonna get. Really. So.
Good experiment. We'll figure it out. Thanks to everyone hanging in the chat tonight. Thanks for everybody listening at home. Don't forget to check out patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. We've been having some real banger pre-shows lately. Setting up early and just streaming to the masses. So you can check that out at Patreon. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.